Okay, everyone, welcome to our show. This is Getting Answers. My name is Curtis Brooks, the entrepreneur show that's about getting answers to the questions that you have as an entrepreneur or professional. Here on our show, we're talking about that success. What does it really take? Hashtag Money Monster. And thank you for joining us, Tachi. Much appreciated, sister. Appreciate the support. Absolutely. Any event, on today, we're talking about success. What does it really take? And I've got a couple of my own points that I want to make, but perhaps you got something different. Nevertheless, we all know that there's not just one way to success. There's multiple different ways to success, most definitely. And here on today, I'm just going to be sharing a couple of my pointers, and they may work for you and they may not work for you. But most importantly, it's important to understand a clear picture of success. And the picture may not necessarily be clear, but at least we have a roadmap, if you will, as it relates to success. So once more, we're talking about success. What does it really take? And I'm going to toss this out here because a lot of times we hear about passion. Do you believe that passion alone will help you get to success, reach that pinnacle?
Hello, Toshida. Yes.
Do you believe that success will, or passion alone will help you get to that place of success? And I took the liberty to read the definition of passion. And it's interesting because passion, it means a lot. There's a lot going on with passion. But ultimately, according to the definition out of dictionary.com, it says any powerful or compelling emotion or feeling as love or hate. So it can be, passion can be either one direction, it can be for love or it can be for hate. So understand passion can be a lot of different things, but it's usually to one end of the spectrum or the other end of the spectrum, to one degree or the other. And it says a strong aromas feeling or desire, love, adore. And it says number 4, it says an instance or experience of strong love or sexual desire. So again, love, hate, one of those strong desires that is, again, prevalent in our passion. So can passion alone get us to success? And my take on passion is that passion is important. No one wants to be in a relationship with someone without passion. Passion fuels a lot of different things. Passion fuels the opportunities that are presented to us. But will passion alone keep us in those opportunities? Will passion alone open the door for us? And what do you guys think about that? Do you think that passion alone will get you into the doors, that passion can create the success that you're looking for? Type a 1 in the window if you think passion alone will get you into that opportunity and keep you there. I just read a couple of definitions as it relates to passion. And again, passion a lot of times is fueled with emotion. And emotion, again, my take on it is emotion doesn't always keep us there. Emotion can be great, but at some point, you need to learn how to control it. So that is, what's your opinion on that, man?
Well, my opinion
On passion.
I don't know if you can. If can you tell me if you can clearly hear what I'm saying?
Absolutely, I can hear you.
All right. Well, my opinion on passion is this simple thing. It's when you get to this point where you have 3 options, and I think everybody has this, where either you're gonna get to the point where you're gonna do better than what you were doing before, you're gonna do worse, or you're gonna stay the same. And passionate people always going to try to go and do better than what they are. They're not going to be happy being in the same lane for the rest of their life, because I don't believe it's necessary for us to live and just pay bills. I don't think that's what life is all about. You shouldn't be living and paying bills for a whole entire lives.
So, I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I'm gonna pose this question to you though. Do you think passion, as you heard me just read the definition, do you think that passion can be, you can have too much passion, where it's at I know for me at times, personally, for me, there's times when I'm uh, in a debate or something with a family member, and I'm passionate about something, about a topic or something, and I may express it one way, but yet my family member says, "Wow, what is wrong with you?" They get to the point and say, "What is wrong with you?" But I'm passionate. I'm not upset about anything, but just passionate in my expression. So you think that passion sometimes when people can misunderstand your passion and maybe the door can be closed when you have too much passion?
Um, I would have to say that I don't believe that you can be too passionate about something.
Okay.
I believe this is going to be my greatest example. This is an example I always give to everybody.
Hmm.
Just think of toilet tissue.
Okay.
Just think about how simple toilet tissue is. Just think
Right.
about how it's so simple and mundane, but it's everywhere. Everybody needs it.
Hmm.
And there's a person out there making money off of selling toilet tissue
Sure.
and making millions of dollars off of that.
Absolutely.
So you can be passionate, but if there's no need for your passion, then yeah, I can understand. But if there's a need for what you're passionate about, then you can be. People are going to jump on board.
So you're kind of standing. So you're essentially kind of standing in the middle, because
Yeah,
my question to you was that can you have too much passion? So you're like, well, if you have too much passion, you don't need it, but then you need the passion.
yeah.
So you're kind of in the middle.
I'm I'm in this point. I think passion should be triggered by knowing that you're passionate, being passionate about something,
Mhm.
you're going to reach your end goal.
Okay.
That should
Okay.
be the trigger.
All right. Cool. Now, what a better question for you is: what does success mean to you? Success.
Success for me.
Yes. Yeah. What does success mean to you? And I know, understand that it means it's different for everyone, but what does success mean to you?
Mm, Let me think about this and ponder. I think for me, success is when you seek an opportunity, when you said, this is an opportunity that I want to go for, and you become autonomous in making decisions and perpetuating whatever idea that you wanted to work on. So, like, basically, your goal and your desire and your dream, you are in complete control. I think success is that right there. Being
Interesting.
able to control the destiny of something that you set out, that you were passionate about, and you stuck in there, you hung in there,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden now, like you're doing, you're on Blab and you're doing this right here. So
Right.
it's just I think people are in here, people are actually watching, people are actually listening.
Hmm.
I mean, you woke up and you said, "This is what I'm going to do today," and look what you're doing right now. You're
Essentially,
being
yeah, pretty
successful.
much.
I mean,
Absolutely.
success is completing a goal. Even if you, and I feel like you can have a setback in success. You can be successful and to some degree not reach what your goal was.
But do you think that your setbacks can also be successful? Can, even though sometimes we feel like they're not successful, meaning that we've had a set goal and we did not accomplish it for whatever reason, perhaps due to a loss of job or just again many different scenarios there. Do you think that because we don't accomplish that goal or reach that mark that we can be deemed unsuccessful, or does it take that opportunity sometimes of just reevaluating to get back on course and be successful?
Yeah, I think that a, a, a failure or a setback can be a success. I believe that in not in the term, not to use the word failure and setback as like, oh, these things happen to me, but
Sure.
the fact that you recognize that you went in a direction and you realize that reality was not aligned with the direction that you went in. So you
Mm,
had to say, I'm going to readjust.
right. Okay. And then with that being said, how much of a role do people play in our success, or is our success autonomous, as you mentioned earlier?
Now, this is where I hit the fringe of this is where I hit the fringe because I do believe this right here. I believe that anybody who's been successful has had a helping hand.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has made it to where they are without a helping hand. Even the
Absolutely.
most successful, the most richest people, they figured out a way how to ask for help and make it look like you're not asking for help.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
I do believe that people have something to do with it. Other people around you have something to do with your success. It's just that it's the people who are passionate about the opportunities that come to them, and they can reach to those people. They can reach out to those people and be like, "Hey, I'm definitely trying to do something." You
Right.
know.
Right.
So,
It's interesting because it was kind of like a loaded question. So I appreciate you answering the question to the best of your ability. But yeah, it's kind of like a loaded question because, in my opinion, I think success is definitely attributed to people. Much like you were just saying, success is one of those things that I think a lot of times, hence the title of the show about that success. What does it really take? I think sometimes we've been given or at least it appears people make it seem like they have not had any help. They've done it by themselves, and I think that's such a misfortune of how people display that, or how it comes across through the media or someone doing some kind of infomercial. Selling some kind of product, I think it appears that, hey, I did it all by myself. And again, I understand that in the midst of them doing a presentation, they're not gonna be like, oh, so and so helped me get here, so and so. So I get that, but I think ultimately behind the scenes, what's publicly displayed a lot of times, we don't see the fact that success is a lot more reaching that goal, if you will. Um, and if you've created a product, your goal is to sell as many products as you can, or of that particular item. And but can a person's success, is it just at 100? I've sold 100 of these items here. I've sold 1,000 of these items here. And most of us want to reach that pinnacle where it's like, you know what? I've sold this product to where it could not be sold, where I've actually eventually sold a company or some point. I gotten tired of selling. But I think that the world makes us believe that success doesn't involve people. And the
yeah.
reality of it is that success involves everyone, even for you being here, brother. So I appreciate you uh, being a part of what I'm doing here. So absolutely. So, you in fact are making this show a success for me as well. So definitely. And all those who, include Tachi and people who stepped in and, stepped out, or whatever the case might be. So just the fact that they're here, it is a success. And so, and it's interesting because have you watched that movie, or not movie, but the video, Beyonce Formation? No,
No.
it's interesting. Check it out one of these days. And I'm not necessarily a Beyonce fan, but I watched a video the other day, and it was interesting because she had a lot of black folks in the video, and the message I got from the video, it says we need to get information. So the message that I got from the video is that I didn't see really anything positive about it. I just seen the same old. And in a sense, as she stated in the end, it's about the paper. And that didn't, come across too well for me, because I think that is just that's the same old path, the journey that we've all been on. And that journey is, to a lot of us, especially in our culture, if you will, that's the same journey we've been on for many years, is that it's about the money, it's about the money, it's about the money. And in turn, I just had this thought. I want to know what you think about it. I had this thought in regards to the fact that if it's so much about the money, and when we make it about the money, we actually end up doing the very thing that we claim other people are doing to us, stepping on us, or just feeling that, just disrespecting us. Because if it's just about the money, people essentially will do anything for the money.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your take on that? Do you think it's about the money, or, yes, success takes people, but do and at the end of the day, yes, it's nice to have money in the bank. Absolutely. So yeah, I'd be a
You know
fool.
what? I feel like for me, now that just hearing what you're saying, I would like to modify my definition of success.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I think success is influence,
Hmm.
positive influence. So
Absolutely.
whatever system that you're a part of, and you are very successful, if you are truly successful, you're going to have influence.
Right.
You're going to be able to say something, and people are going to want to know more about what you're saying.
Right. Right. But
Successful people are the people that, like, somebody coming to you and ask you if you're successful. People are going to come to you and like, hey, how do I do this? I'm just looking at your profile a little bit, talking about CEOs,
mhm.
and you give advice to CEOs, saying like, if you're successful, people are going to keep coming back to somebody. You make good decisions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Success is good decisions. Success is knowing opportunity, knowing when to use your passion to get a point across.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
And you know,
I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about the influence. I think it's about the power. And for me
so
personally,
mhm,
that's what I'm trying to reach ideas with my endeavors. I'm trying to change ideas.
mhm,
I'm trying to, like, I mean, it may look like I'm from America and it may sound like I'm from America, but I'm not actually.
mhm.
I'm just a college student
Okay.
living in the United States right
It's all
now.
good. It's all good.
And I know I know one thing about influence. If you can influence the right people and enough people, you can change a lot more than what money can do.
Very interesting. So ultimately, is what you're saying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so that's why I'm checking. So ultimately, is what you're saying that influence. So if you take your essentially, if you take your mind off money, but just concern yourself with being learning how to influence others or being an influence to others, that the money will come. Is that what you're saying? Possibly.
I'm saying like that's how it's supposed to work.
Okay.
If you are influential,
Hmm.
you will make
Absolutely.
you will make money. If you can go to somebody and you can make toilet tissue important,
Hmm.
so important that they have commercials
Right.
and everybody knows what toilet tissue is for,
Right. Right.
and it's not taboo to have it on TV.
Right.
Once you can get away with just basically influencing, like, this isn't necessary, this is a need.
Right, right, right. So essentially, through influence, you can, if you have the right influence, or at least knowing how to present your uh, present the toilet paper, if you will, because
Mm-hmm.
the fact everyone does need it, it's essential to life. But nevertheless, because of your influence, you have a way of presenting it. You can do well.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Because what, like, I see, I don't know how to say her name, Tashida,
Tachi.
Tasha.
Yeah.
Like, what I do is, I edit videos for people right now.
Oh, cool.
That's my part-time job, and I edit people's videos that have high numbers of followers and fans and things like that on their social media. And I know that if I were to post those same videos under my influence, my, so because I just started doing the social media thing,
Hmm.
I'm just pretty brand new to it, and I see them doing it, and then I see that these people are getting like 100,000 views and like 50,000 views, 50,000 likes for a video that I made, and I know, and I tested it out because I posted one of the videos to my Instagram,
Hmm.
same video that I made for this other person. I said, can I do this to see, does it really matter? Are people really liking your video, or you just have a lot of fans and, a lot of
Sure.
followers? And I got like 50 views,
Hmm.
and this person got 100,000. So it just lets me know, like, your influence is more than your money. Like, you know what? You may not make money at first, but if you are influential enough, people will have to be like, you know what? I'm going to support this guy because what he stands for is right. What he stands for is truth.
Okay, I have another question for you then. And Tachi, if you are available, feel free to hop into the window. She's actually Dr. Tachi. She's a professor. She's just a really great woman, great person. So, Tachi, again, if you are available and you can hop in the window, I'd love to have your input on this as well. In any event, yeah, another question for you, Thaddeus, is that how much do you think with success that it's not just success by itself, but as you said, it's influence is being successful, having a proper influence is being successful. So how much of that is strategy? Do you think strategy is important? So For instance, you can have influence, but it's important to know where you are influencing others
Mm.
or being in the right place. So, what do you think about strategy? How much does strategy play into being an influence
You
or doing
know,
that thing on purpose?
I think that strategy is essential to a certain point. However, there are certain things that are trending out there that, in my good sense, I don't believe should be where they're at. So I
Hmm.
do believe it has to do with timing. I say your strategy would have to be only timing, because
Hmm.
really nowadays it
Interesting.
doesn't really matter what you put out there, as long as you can put it out there in the right time. If you can post your post at the right time during the day, you're most likely to get the most amount of people to look at it. You're most likely to get the most people to make a response on
Right,
it.
right,
But
right. But then, but then, if you're not, you're saying if it's not, you're saying how much, for instance, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you say that it has to do with strategy?
I mean,
So there's influence, and then there's strategy. So how much you, on a scale of 1 through 10, how much you think strategy has to, uh, how much you think strategy is a part of influence? Again, you have the influence, but knowing where you need to be at, if you will, or like you said, the timing, if you will.
I think this is a really difficult one to say, because I I don't want to say that strategy. Now, if you're talking about strategy as in like how are you going to be consistent, like what Asif Ron
Mhm,
said,
mhm, mhm.
then I'm more with you. But strategy tackling a market, um, I don't. The only strategy that I would say is timing,
Mm.
because think about the kind of music and think about the kind of things that just became like overnight
Right,
successes.
right, right. Well, well, even with
Like,
your videos, though, even with your videos, it's not only, like you said, it's not only your the editing video that you're doing for your clients, but you're asking if they had a huge following,
mm-hmm,
and you were saying how are your videos getting all of these hits or likes, whatever the case might be, and then you ask, do you have a huge following, and whether they have a huge following or not, they're using not only their influence, but aren't they also using the strategy, be it that the strategy definitely has to be consistent, but you also, as you mentioned earlier, you have to have the timing as well. So it's also important to use those key words, those trending words within their video, or your client's video, which you had just edited. So it's
and but this is the flaw in that logic, because think
hmm,
about Beyonce.
right.
She can just put anything out there, and even if people don't like it, they'll be like, "Oh, this is her artistic outlet, and she's just doing this."
Hmm.
People are going to find reason in whatever she does. You Once you get to a certain status, your influence overcomes your strategy. Only way that your influence becomes corrupted or ruined is if you do something that goes
something
against
something
so
ridiculous,
far
right,
against the
right,
culture
right,
that it
right.
causes you to lose your credibility.
Hmm. Interesting, interesting.
Like, just think about when you were younger and you're like, I don't know what they call, like, it's called prima media. That's like preschool, like pre kindergarten. I don't know how it is in America,
Mhm, mhm.
like kindergarten, I think.
Right, right, yeah.
Just to think about, what did you do? Can you remember what you did to make friends then?
Not really. I think most of the time I was probably walking up to someone, hey, be my friend or something like that, or shared a toy or something.
I mean, if you really think about it, like, we never get out of that stage in
Right.
reality.
Well
We're
said. I can appreciate
always
that.
we're always in that stage where people are too afraid to go up to talk to somebody, or somebody is they have a talent and they're too afraid to show what their talent is.
Absolutely.
That happens a lot,
Absolutely.
and so the strategy, I don't know. I just feel like my strategy would be like, how can you get somebody to feel like, hey, I'm no different from you. I'm just trying to survive.
Hmm.
If you help me, I help you.
That's a very good point, Thaddeus. Very good point because it's interest. It's very interesting, man. That's pretty powerful because in a case, and I can appreciate what you're saying. That strategy, it can be a clear cut strategy, but at the same time, it could be a matter of just really just stepping on what you believe.
Yeah,
You know,
passion.
and you may
It's a
not
really
necessarily have a strategy, but it just at that moment. But it also could be just matter of just what it worked for the first time. You know how you heard the saying, beginner's luck, if you will. And
hmm
again, and I'm not saying that it is beginner's luck, but the fact is, a lot of times when we step out in that sense, that very first time, we get the I believe the universe chiming in with us and say, hey, this is where you're supposed to be at. But then, in order to keep them, if you will, I think it's going to take a strategy to keep them, and at least coming up with a content that's relevant to those trending words, if you will. And as you mentioned, someone like Beyonce, who has just just a astronomical following, and at some point, the strategy. It's not even about strategy, as you mentioned earlier, and that's very good there, very good. And have you? I seen a trailer, and I got hashtag Money Monster. So I seen a trailer earlier um, on Facebook, and it was talking about the stock market, and so that's where I got the Money Monster. And because ultimately, as watching the trailer, ultimately they had the gentleman who came in. We've got a news reporter. He's covering the stock market, and in that news report, not excuse me, I think the television anchor person was Julia Roberts, and then they had George Clooney. He's also in it, and someone else. But in any event, George Clooney plays a reporter at I believe, at the stock market, and he's speaking on different things related to the stock market. Not even a reporter, actually. He does a show like a Kramer on the MSNBC News. It's like he does like a stock market show, and so that's what George Kramer is, or excuse me, George Clooney is doing. And so there's a gentleman that comes in. Julia Roberts happens to see through the camera because she's the camera person in the control room. She happens to see this gentleman on the set, and she's like, "Well, who is that?" She's trying to figure out who this person is, and so this person ends up holding up the entire, the studio, if you will. He's got a gun. He orders George Clooney to put this jacket on, and this jacket is got explosive, and he's got the detonator in his hand, and just with a gun and everything. So it's supposed to come out May 13th, but I put that in there because I think it's also important because we we all like money, and we a lot of times we want it quick. And throughout this movie, or at least the idea was in the movie they were talking, or the trailer they were talking about, that the stock market was rigged, if you will. It's essentially just a game, and that we know who the players are, and and that's what he was talking about. He wanted his money back. I believe it's his wife or his fiance had, they lost everything in the stock market, so he wanted his money back. So again, success, what does it really take? Is it just money? And my other question too, also, is that what about passion? You think passion, or not passion, but purpose? When you find your purpose, and I truly believe that when you find your purpose, you are at the beginning of you're at the beginning of an awesome life. You're not quite there yet, but because I believe that purpose is, again, just the very beginning of something that is about to happen for you in such an awesome way. But you're at the beginning of it, and I believe that it still takes strategy. It still takes having a plan. It still takes learning how to be an influence within your purpose. So, what's your take on purpose? Do you believe that you found your purpose, or are you going to school to find your purpose?
You know, I'm learning. I'm understanding the power of influence.
Hmm.
That's what I'm. That's what the game I'm in. I'm in the game. I'm in it for the power. I'm not in it for the money.
Hmm. Interesting.
Because you get two kinds of people. You get two kinds of successful people. You got the powerful ones, and you got the rich ones. And the
Hmm.
people who are powerful, they have way more. They end up outlasting people with money.
Very
Because
interesting. Very
power,
interesting.
I mean, I realized that. When I realized that, that's when I started making moves. I started getting a lot of followers, and then all of a sudden, um, because of the way that I was using the social media, the good old fashioned, they blocked my account. They said, "Oh, you're doing something illegal."
Hmm.
And I was like, "What am I doing illegal?" It's like, "Well, you can't use a third party app." I was like, "What do you mean? I'm not using a third party app."
Hmm.
But I figured out how to keep people's attention longer, and it wasn't, and that wasn't the way that this social media platform was meant to be used.
Hmm.
You know,
So,
so
but so here's another question for you, Thaddeus. Is that because you said earlier that influence is important, and we talked about passion, but you said now you're in the realm of influence, and you're not necessarily concerned about the money. And I'm assuming that because you believe the money is going to come with the power. And
yeah,
so my question to you that, but do you think power, all power, can be just as destructive as having passion with no control on it?
yeah, I do. I believe having hello there, Rums. I just saw that, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see that if you if you have all power, you're gonna probably. I gave this person. I was just talking with one of my colleagues the other day, and I was asking him, basically asked him a really hard question, and he gave me an answer. I'm not going to disclose what the answer
Mm-hmm.
was, but it's just interesting to know that if you had all power, would you be willing? If you had all power and you created something that had free will, and
Very interesting.
would you allow it Would you allow it to do something wrong,
Hmm.
or would you force it not to do something wrong?
Interesting.
But you gave it free will, so is it really? If you really are giving it free will, then you got to allow it to do whatever it is, and it has to suffer the consequences.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know,
But
and I just feel like that's how power is.
very interesting. But
If you allow the power to get to it, go
but,
ahead.
but even in that though, Thaddeus, all power, as I believe I was alluding to, all power is can be destructive. You eventually crash. And much like with success, a person can be successful. I read earlier the definition of passion. Passion to one extreme is love. Person's passionate. They can be to the other extreme of passion, which is hate. They can be passionate in their hate, passionate in love. But my point is that we can also be successful and being a success, climbing that ladder, whatever it might be in our individual lives, but we can also be successful going the other way.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, there's two ends of the spectrum. So either all power, you crash on one end, you can be equally as powerful and we can be equally as powerful in ignorance, and we can be equally as powerful in knowing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important for us to learn how to find a middle ground, if you will, in order to distribute that power and not have it go too far to the right or too far to the left, or however we're looking at it. But it's important to be able to distribute that power, because much like passion, a person can be passionate, but it may not be at the right time. As you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that earlier. So passion is important, but we also need to put passion under control. And one of the things a little while ago, I did a video about how to find your purpose. And I think it was just I think it turned out really well, because one of the things I talked about is that how coming into your purpose, you need passion. You need passion to drive you into your purpose. And then sometimes passion, in a sense, the definition is passion for one end is love, passion on the other end is hate. Passion can take you into a place where you are just in an awful place. But in most cases, a lot of times, if you are continuing that search, that search for success, that search to find, to tap into making that product better, whatever the case might be. If you are trying to figure out something, it's okay to go to that one end of the spectrum, if you will, because as long as you're searching, your purpose is going to bring you out. So, again, it's just important to, you know, as you're searching and you understand the influence clearly, I get that, but not allowing yourself to go so far to the end of the spectrum that you miss it, because power is power. Power doesn't imply power to me. For me, it doesn't imply compassion. It doesn't imply caring about your fellow man. It doesn't imply any of those things. But I mentioned earlier how in the Beyonce's video Formation, at the end of it, she says about getting the paper. So all power could be essentially about getting the paper. Not that you've said that, but again, it's from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah, I can see that. That can be a perceived side product.
Yeah, absolutely.
From people who are looking at those who are in power.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
I always think this right here. I mean, it's unfair that there's going to be some people who will not gain power and will not gain success and will not gain influence.
Do you really think it's unfair? I know you just said that; those are your words. So I just want to, because but go ahead. I love to hear what you said.
Yeah, I do believe. I do believe that some people will, you know, don't want to. I don't want to sound too harsh or anything, but some people are just going to never succeed in life, and their whole entire life is going to be miserable. It's just that's how it is. That's how reality works.
But
not everybody, not everybody's going to get the same equal chance.
Right, but do you think that, because you just said that you don't think it's fair?
Yeah, it's not fair, but that's how it is.
But
though.
how? So how is it not fair? Could it be just though? It's not. It could.
I'll give you a good example.
Okay, please do.
Did you choose to exist?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So if nobody on Earth chose to exist, nobody on Earth decided they're going to be who exactly they are on Earth, then that gives room for not everybody's going to make it to the top.
Oh, okay, but here's the thing though. I may not have chosen to exist, but now that I'm here, and that's the other piece of that. I may not have chosen to exist. You're absolutely correct. No, I did. None of us chose to exist. But the fact is that we are here and we can make choices now.
I mean, you were born in a place where you had the opportunity for choices. Like, if you know where I come from, I'm gonna give you a good place to think about. Nepal. I don't know if you've ever been to Nepal before.
No, I've never been to Nepal.
But there's places over there, just that there's people who are so poor that they don't understand what opportunity looks like. All they know is that they got to survive another day. And you know what? Their success may be a little bit different.
Absolutely.
What they find successful in life.
Absolutely.
But I'm comparing the quality of success. Like, if you're gonna really enjoy life, the things that you're not going to worry about is food, right? You're gonna have the best quality food, you're gonna have the best quality house, and you're gonna be able to do basically whatever you want to do, legal. That's in my. If you're successful, you should be able to do all three of those things. But there's people that are not reaching that, won't ever reach that level. It's just like you go to those poor countries, you go to those third world countries, and like, look at this. I'm on the phone. You're probably on your computer or you're on your phone. Like these opportunities don't happen to those people. I'm talking about $1 American, €1. It's like 76 rupees. Like, just imagine the difference. It's like it's completely like. And I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm just saying that's how it is.
Right.
I'm saying in my understanding of reality, I can say it's unfair. But if I just look at how gravity works, gravity always goes in one direction.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
I believe this right here, you can always make it out. There's always one person that makes it. There's always one person that figures out a way to become influential and to become successful and to come from those kind of places. Because that's how my father was. He came from one of those kind of places in East Timor. He got out of there, and then look where I'm at.
That is, and I would say I can appreciate what you're saying. I would say that I think the problem a lot of times is just with people, just I think just across the board, all cultures, a lot of times is that people have that crab in a barrel mentality, and that if you had
learned helplessness,
absolutely, if you were successful, and I can only speak knowing from the place that I'm at currently right now, but you being successful, guess what? I'm going to say, how did you do that? That is, and one of the things that I mentioned in my one of the things I mentioned in my show I did on last week, how to find your purpose. The question was is that the very beginning of knowledge begins with a question. The beginning of knowledge begins with a question, and so is your statement accurate in regards to saying that it's not fair that the people of just all cultures, everyone's had their challenges, in most cases across the board. But do you think it's fair to say that it's not fair for where they're at because beginning of knowledge is asking a question? And perhaps the question hasn't been asked. And sometimes people can get stuck in a pattern, if you will, of doing the same old, the habit, if you will, and just doing the same old until it just grinds them out. It's just, I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Chicago. And we frequently had snow in the wintertime. And I can remember the vehicles getting stuck in the snow. And the more gas you put in, the more gas you give the vehicle in hopes of getting out the snow, the worse it got. So essentially you need someone to help push you out, or at least kind of rock the vehicle and while you're, applying the pressure. But
that happened to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I had never been in snow I got into snow for the first time over here, and it was a blizzard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, whoa,
absolutely
crazy.
And
I was playing in the snow though at first.
Right.
And it just got going after a while.
Right. And I think it's the same with people, whereas that we can kind of get stuck in that rut, if you will. And again, that situation that we didn't choose to be born into, or the fact that we didn't choose to be born, but we're here, but we're born into a situation which we can't control. But I think it comes a time where we are of a certain age, whereas we can begin to ask our own questions. And I think sometimes we're so busy trying to get away from the situation that we inherently, at times, we may get away from it, but yet we're taking the same mindset with us. And so I think there's an opportunity for all of us in the midst of even our current situations. Thank you, Tachi. I really appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. But I think, again, that sometimes people in the midst of the situations, they think that, oh, I need to be away from this. I need to go and as far as I can. And in actuality, you can change your situation right where you're at. Because if you're not changing this right here, you're only changing the scenery, but taking, at some point, if you're not changing this here, you're changing the scenery, running away from something, perhaps, and taking this same old mind with you. And so essentially the only thing that we're doing, or just people in general, is going from one shop, one place with the mindset to another place with that same mindset. And it's very interesting that how much people don't consider how much mindset plays, because that's exactly what it is. It's mindset into traditions, mindset into habits. Again, that person spinning that tire in the snow, if you will, thinking that the more gas I give the vehicle, I can get out quicker. I can power myself through this, as your word you use. I can power through this, and sometimes it may not be power, but a little finesse with it, you know. And
Well, I tell you, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. This is really hard for me to accept. When people perpetuate disparaging
hmm,
situations. Like, imagine you're poor and you get pregnant and you have a kid, and then you have a kid, and the kid is raised up inside, right?
hmm,
So what you do is you basically cultivate a mindset
absolutely.
for a person to think a certain way,
Hmm.
and just imagine generations and generations to the fact to where we got people living in shacks. Like me and my brother, and then my brother and myself, we would go and visit our cousins, and where they lived compared to what we lived in, we would sleep outside. We would buy our tents and we would sleep outside in the tent because it was way we just from how we lived and how our parents raised us. We felt more clean and safe inside of a tent outside than living inside a house with a whole bunch of roaches, and
Hmm.
rats, and mice, and bugs all over the place. Like I wasn't used to that.
Right.
I always lost weight when I went to go see my grandma,
Hmm.
my nonna, because they lived in a lower they lived in a lower quality of life.
Hmm.
And like I said, there's always one person that makes it out, but the overwhelming majority of people, like you said, they won't get out of that mindset because they've been taught that way. It's not easy to break that kind of mindset.
No,
It's not easy.
absolutely, absolutely,
And then when you try to tell them, hey, if you stop having kids and you don't have any money, if you stop, drinking and driving, if you stop doing that stuff, then you're looking like, oh, why are you trying to take out the fun out of life? You're bringing new life into the world, and you're giving them a disadvantage.
absolutely, absolutely. I agree.
And it really bothers me knowing that that happens all
Absolutely.
the time, every single day.
Absolutely, and I think that is the best way for us to conquer that thing that which bothers us is to be successful, and again to moderate that, if you will, so that we're not going completely to the power end of either side of it, you know, and again to bring it to a place in the middle somewhere, again to ensure that we are just we're in a place where we need to be at, because again we can be to one side too strong, and the same people that we're trying to give instructions to, they may not receive it that way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think you're familiar with Bill Cosby. You're familiar with him, and
Mm-hmm.
not his current situation, but he had made an attempt to talk to several of the different colleges, the HB, the black colleges, and anyways, it didn't go over well. It did not go over well for him at all, and and then I think it's because of that. I think that a lot of times and I think it's the way he came across, and I think that he was respected afar, but I think sometimes when we have that we have that mindset of like, what is wrong with these people? What's wrong with them? Blah blah. And so those conversations that we may share with someone else, we take those same conversations to the stage, if you will, and
Mm-hmm.
forget that we need to kind of just lighten up now. You know what I'm saying? We can't, if you and I were, personal friends, good friends, I may share something with you, but I for surely would not share it in the same context with, in the
Yeah.
same, with the same passion behind it, if you will. And so I think that's what happened with him. But nevertheless, so my we're at about 11 minutes to go here, but nevertheless, my last question is that, so do you think it's just hard work? Do you think it's just plain hard work that takes us to a place of being successful?
I think plain hard work will take us to a place of um, comfort,
Hmm.
but I think exceptional hard work. Uh, at the end of the day, if you're really good at something, somebody's going to notice it.
Absolutely.
if you're just a hard worker, people are gonna be like, "Oh, this guy's a hard worker," and they're like, "Yeah, I can rely on him doing this hard work,"
Mhm.
and that's as far as they're gonna look at you.
Right, right.
They're not gonna see you past that. If you're an exceptional worker, people are gonna be like, "Okay, you think you could do this right here? I just want to see if you can do it. I want to see if you can do this right here." But I don't think hard work alone will get you to success.
Right.
If you just work harder than everybody and you're just like a really good worker, the most you can get out of life is you'll be like a supervisor or something.
Absolutely.
You won't run a company, you won't be no mogul. You'll just be some guy
Mhm.
that everybody respects because you come to work on time and you do what you're told.
Interesting. Because for me, I think hard work. It for me, just hearing the word hard work, I hear someone say, "Oh, it's just work hard" or something of that sort. For me, I think hard work does not encompass strategy, and and as you can probably hear or denote where I stand on that, that strategy is super important. It's super important because I think in a way of strategy, again, as it relates to hard work, uh, I think it's for me the word hard work alone it does not imply strategy. It implies someone who is, I think, more so like a mule, for the lack of a better word, a person who's just gets up each morning, goes to work, and they're where they need to be at, and they work hard, and they just work hard, be it physical labor, be it working in an office, but the case might be, but they just work hard. So for me, the hard work or working hard, it does not denote strategy.
Yeah,
And that's just my, it's my take on it. But I think also, again, and I think that's a lot of times that's what they're not telling us that. They're telling us that if you follow this strategy, and we know that it takes there's going to be all kinds of strategy, but I think the biggest strategy that we need, the biggest strategy or the biggest obstacle that that can be like a strategy, if you will, is getting around the mindset here that prevents us from tapping into greater strategies. So I think this mind here is wonderful, it's powerful, it's all those things: compassion, it's love, it's passion from one extreme to the other, love or hate. It's all those different things combined. But I think due to situations that we've grew up in or experiences that we've gathered along in life, or all of us, we've gathered those experiences, and those experiences a lot of times they keep us from applying the strategy to life. Again, I'm not saying that life there's this master strategy in a confidential envelope and everyone's trying to get to it. I'm saying that the fact is that if you want to be successful, I believe that, as you mentioned earlier, absolutely influence is number one. Influence is huge. But I think even before we get to influence, we need to be influenced ourselves. And again, leading back to that mindset, that obstacle, those challenges, those experiences sometimes that we've picked up in life that that have run their course in our mind, if you will, almost like that tire trying to spin itself out of the snow. It becomes etched in our mind, and so we're trying to uh, a lot of times get away from those experiences. But if we focus on trying to focus on developing this with greater understanding, again, we're not necessarily going to change those who we like to bring along with us. And even in that, I think is one of the challenges is that we're trying to take people with us, and everyone can't go. Everyone's not designed for this space. Everyone's not created for the challenges that you may have gone through, Thaddeus, the challenges I may have gone through. They were not made for that purpose, but they were made for it to tap into their own purpose. And a lot of times, as you mentioned earlier, is that or at least you alluded to, the fact is that they don't want to tap into their purpose. They rather, and you were saying that's why I was kind of just trying to give you somewhat of a challenge in regards to whether it's fair or is it justice. You know, and
But
I
you're
think
saying, wait, I gotta just interject real quick. So you're saying that it's it's justice for
well, no,
people
what
who
when
don't go with their potential.
well, no, that's not, let me explain. I was saying that's why I was trying to challenge you earlier on what you were saying because you were saying that it's fair, and I'm now saying is it fair or is it justice? So
Um,
meaning that there is a there is a system of operation, if you will.
I think it's fair. I mean, I think it's unfair for the person who is the spawn of that. So, like, if you're a child that you have a mother that just got pregnant
Hmm.
and then she doesn't have a job and she's using welfare or whatever it is, and you're the child, it's unfair for that child. But it's also justice because, like, you're just like at the same time, like, why did you make that decision in the first place? You know, I can see if you're like, if your husband was in the military and he died, something like that, or if he got killed in a car accident or something like that, I could be understanding. But if nobody pointed a gun to your head and they didn't force you to get pregnant and you didn't have a job in the first place and you went and you thought about having a good time before having a lifetime, then
Right.
it's unfair to the baby because you're already going to disadvantage the baby. But it's also justice. It's like now you understand, like, oh, I shouldn't do this, and people don't understand. People still don't learn from that. There's people who have like 4 and 5 kids, like three
Absolutely.
and four different. Like that's unheard of for me. I never seen anything like that. Like real
Yeah.
people like that.
Yeah. I happen to have one son and one son only. Thank you.
I have no kids,
Yeah. I'm good with that.
no kids, and no tattoos.
Right. 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 And you know, and that in itself, man, it's huge. That is in regards to you know just the different choices people make, and you know you said something moments ago, just pretty deep there. You know, they would rather have a good time and or you know, have a good time and mess up a lifetime, you know, for a good time, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's pretty powerful, man. And but let me hang on, give me just a second here, Thaddeus. Here, let me wrap it up here, and then we can continue to talk if you want. But nevertheless, here, okay. Once again, folks, we are going to wrap it up here. I've had the opportunity to have Thaddeus here on the show throughout the entire show, so I definitely appreciate you, Thaddeus, for making this show very interesting and a great conversation. So again, we are going to wrap it up. My name is Curtis Brooks, your transformational speaker, and again, this is Getting Answers, the entrepreneur show that's about getting answers to the questions that you have as an entrepreneur or professional. Thanks again. Check us out on Friday, May 13th. We'll be talking about mental health. Why is it important? So, again, stop by, check us out. Mental health. Why is it important? We'll be talking with Victoria Olson of Expand Mentoring. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day.